Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Zoom Into Wine. It's time for the show and your host, Ian Blackburn.
All right, everybody, welcome to Zoom Into Wine. Thank you for joining us. I wanted to start off with a little classic Italian rock and rolla. That was Dino Vanelli from about 1986, 87, somewhere in there. Invention of MTV.
You just have to
Still a thing.
it's on one of the box. Open it. I don't know which one.
I'm going to mute everybody that's not muted. But thank you very much for speaking up whenever you have a question. We want you to be involved tonight. We want you to enjoy. I hope everybody got their tasting kits okay. If they leak just a little bit, it does happen from time to time. We do fill them all the way up to the top to prevent them from oxidizing. And we hope that everyone had a good experience with our delivery company. And welcome to our new Zoom headquarters here. I'm excited to get started. I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Sarah Klein. Hi, Sarah. I'm going to spotlight you. Sarah's
Hello, everyone.
Responsible for organizing all the wineries tonight. She is the Italian specialist for Co-Brand Corporation, covering many states for Co-Brand. I learned something new today. You've worked for Co-Brand for 14 years and you covered 20 states for them. That's impressive. I'm going to have you go right into your PowerPoint, Sarah. So I'm going to make you a host for a moment. Let me do something to the screen. I'm going to show everybody here, getting us up to speed. We should be about 45 or 50 people tonight on the Zoom by the time we're all in. But let's get started, and I'm going to make you a host. So go right ahead. Sarah, take it away. Show that slideshow.
Ian, can you just tell me if you can see it?
Yes. I can see yours just fine. Thank you.
All right. Okay. First of all, buonasera. Thank you. Grazie mille a tutti. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. And yes, I have a very American German name, Sarah Klein, but I have worked for 14 years as an Italian wine specialist. I fell in love with the country at a very young age, just from Italian heritage that I have. And now from doing 23andMe, I have guaranteed that I have 30% Italian roots coming from the region of Campania. If you see my map here where that soccer ball is, so not far from Naples. And I studied abroad in Florence. My parents kind of semi-retired over there. I worked at Osteria. I had an Italian boyfriend, and I think I've marked it all. I've done the shopping, I've done the traveling, and
you checked all the boxes.
I've checked all the boxes. So yes, anything you need to know, please don't ask or hesitate to ask, just because we are getting into definitely the most complex wine producing country in the world. And, having 20 different regions and obviously all these different types of varietals that aren't as maybe easy as to pronounce maybe as Bordeaux varietals, hopefully will ease some of that pain tonight. And what I wanted to start with is this map that I love, that I think really just kind of, it brings us into the country of everything that is familiar to us when it comes to Italian lifestyle. And you see the shoes of Milan for the fashion, and for Emilia Romagna, we have the prosciutto and the Parmesan and the Duomo of Florence. And you can see here the pizza of Naples, and just everything that you can kind of find iconic for the country. And what's nice tonight is we're going to have a nice little Giro d'Italia, as we can say. We're going to start here in Tuscany. We're going to head up a little bit into Piedmont, and we're even going to head off the beaten path, finishing off over in Sardinia tonight. So I think you're going to really like just a little tour that we've put together for you. And just wanted to give you a little bit of kind of facts and figures about Italian wine, and why it's so important to drink Italian wines, and why you want to be drinking Italian wines. And this country is the largest wine production country in the world. This is as of 2019, but I believe the numbers for 2020, once they do come out, will be the same. So in terms of production, they are the largest in the world. When it comes in terms also of exports, You can see that Italy is still the reigning king, even ahead of Spain and France. Always those three are kind of neck and neck with each other, but you can just see in terms of even the last couple of years that Italy has still been the number one. And then just a little bit more, little technical geeky information, but I find it very kind of intriguing, especially coming off a year that we've had in 2020 of a pandemic year, that in that year you can see that Italian wine consumption and sales has increased dramatically. And even just from 2019 to 2020, you see that Italy has increased by 5%, which is a pretty drastic increase, even in comparison to the other years. And then when you come into just how it's rating and what we call a Nielsen rating, it's still outperforming with even greater increase there of 7%. So this is why I want to say why you want to be drinking Italian wines, because they're gaining even more popularity. And I would say even just more the selection that you're seeing that's being imported into United States. It's just, a plethora of wine that you can drink from this country, and just a constant education. And why I would say I have been selling these wines for 14 years and why it just never gets bored, especially when it comes to Italian wines. Now, when it comes to Italian wines, it's very important to understand just the general wine laws and classifications. And tonight we are going to be drinking wines basically coming from almost all three of these classifications. I'm going to kind of go over them starting from the bottom going to the top. Nothing that we're having tonight will be classified as the bottom category, which is Vino da Tavola, which represents about 40% of the total production of Italian wines, where the other three categories of IGT, DOC, and DOCG represent the other 60% of production. You see here on the right, this is just now the general European classification, which you will start to see on some Italian wines, but really you kind of have the capability of taking the Italian or the general European classification. So just to go over these so everybody understands, and we're going to start at the bottom of IGT. And that's a category that really became popular with the Super Tuscan category when that emerged back in the 90s. And we're going to have a couple Super Tuscans tonight, actually 3 of them. So those ones will fall into this classification where you have looser standards. The label must state the region. They may state the varietal and the vintage, but you're not going to be bound by the same rules and regulations that you find with the next 2 categories above it, which are the DOC and DOCG. And I think especially here with DOC and DOCG wines, this is what brings the uniqueness to this country, and also where you get this regionality aspect of having certain varietals coming from certain regions and why they're made in very specific ways, like Brunello and Barolo and Amarone. Those are all DOCG wines, but other wines like their little counterparts of Rosso di Montalcino that are DOC, there's rules and reasons why they are what they are. So in order to be a DOC, you're subject to these geographical boundaries. You have the limitations of grape varieties, especially when it comes to percentages of maximum and minimums, and also standards for production methods. And that will come down to how close vines can be planted, when they're allowed to be harvested, how long they have to be aged in oak, or how long they may have to be in bottle before they're released. And when you get into DOCG, those restrictions get even tougher, and where you have to have this further tasting by the Ministry of Agriculture in order to get the tag that if you have the bottles tonight, or if you obviously drank Italian wines, you'll see kind of that white tag on the side that says DOC or DOCG with a variety of numbers, and all those numbers will ultimately tell you everything about that wine, basically from the vine all the way to the bottle.
Very good.
Now,
Good.
Yeah, and just real quick, I just wanted to say, especially with what we're having starting first with tonight, just some key buzz terms like Classico, especially the first wine that we're going to have that's encompassing the best growing zone, basically where you're getting the hills, and then also for Riserva, which is going to require longer aging.
Yes. Perfect. Awesome. I love a good pie chart. And Italy has been a big part of my world and travels and stuff. So I've been able to visit many of these producers, and I want to encourage all of you to plan on visiting them too. And if I can help you when you go on your trips, I'd love to. But let's get started with our first wine. Hopefully, if you've done these before with us in the past, you know, we're always trying to improve, always trying to upgrade our stuff. So we've actually put little labels now on the jars, and they're not exact duplicates, but I think they look pretty damn good. What do you think, Sarah? Got the brand
love it.
there, looking good. All right, so we've got we're going to start off tonight with our Chianti Classico, and I would love for you to get some in your glass, get it a little swirling around. Hi, Emily Little, good to see you. Hi, Wendy Caldwell. Hi, Oleg, Terry Kamali. Saying hi to some of our regs. The Fishers are there. Thank you guys. Duvarnays. Hello, Kristen Wilson. Good to see you. Jenny, thank you for joining us tonight. Sandra, Sandy and Barbara. David Cam. James Forsyth. Thank you, sir. I got a lot of people off camera tonight. I think as we're going back to work now, we're wanting to eat at home. You can eat on Zoom with us. We're going to be drinking some wine, get a big plate of pasta, show off whatever you're going to be doing. But we'd love for you to use the chat box tonight for any comments, questions, you know, and if you want to speak up, welcome it. Just say something and we'll try to get to your question, okay? And if it's at the wrong moment, we'll get right back to it. All right, I'm going to open up our slideshow.
Yeah, and if you have, obviously if you're at home right now and have any accessibility, if you have cheese or meats, just some component of fat element, that definitely will help for tonight's wines, just with all the acidity that we're going to have accompanying us tonight.
My graphic team puts these together. We work really hard to get all the information we can and get some nice things together. But as Sarah said, we're going to start off in Chianti, go to Barolo. We're going to head through Tuscany with a couple of freaking juggernauts, and then we'll end up in Sardinia for a really nice round night of excellence. I hope you guys enjoy. And if you have any questions, let us know. I will send out this PowerPoint and a copy of this video on the gift bag. Actually, you won't get that on the gift bag. I will make it available on the website a little bit later. At the bottom of our website, we have a kind of an archive of every video we've ever done on Zoom, and we just got that really up to date. So this video will be up there by tomorrow, and that's how we're going to do that. But you're going to be getting a gift bag email about 8 o'clock tonight with all of the offers for tonight, and I hope you guys enjoy the process that we're going to be going through. So let's take a deeper look into our Chianti Classico Riserva. This is with our friends at Nozzole, and in a minute we'll have Giovanni Folonari on here. We'll be talking to him in Italy, but Tenuta de Nozzole right in Chianti Classico, and a really important brand. And Sarah, this is in terms of brands in the United States, is this one in the top 10 now?
I would say even top 5 for this category.
Good job.
Yeah.
And I will say on our website, it's been a really good seller. And another reason why I think Italy keeps taking market share is that the wines just keep getting better. And there's been a lot of emphasis and quality upgrades in Chianti. I'd say starting in around the year 2000, Chianti 2000 laws really elevated the quality, and they're now even releasing more specific wines called Gran Selecciones, and these are like really super wines of Chianti, and they're even elevating Chianti even further, and I really think it's just lifting all boats. All the wines are just really beautiful. This one, no exception tonight. It really comes from a beautiful property. You've been there, right, Sarah?
Oh yeah.
Just he has this fantastic, I guess you'd say she's like the nanny of the house. Her name is Graziella. If you visit Giovanni, he is probably, I don't know, close to 60 years old. And
no, like early 50s.
Early 50s? Okay. but he still yells out her name like he's 5. He's like, Graziella! And it's just super fun with that. And she takes care of the whole place. So if you visit, look forward to meeting Graziella. All right. A couple of points of distinction here, Sarah. Do you have high repetition on these things?
Yeah, I think what's unique about this estate, one, just to understand where you are in the Classico zone. So you're in that very specific spot between Florence and Siena. So if you've ever come to Florence and you're heading out into the Chianti, you're going to come to a town called Grebe in Chianti. And that is near where the estate is located. And with this, I would say just in terms of the classification, they only require 80% of Sangiovese for the category by the DOCG, but what you're having tonight, because of the quality of their Sangiovese, is 100%. So that also differentiates them from a lot of other producers.
And you know, back in the days when you bought a bottle of Chianti because it had a basket on it, yes. Back then they actually required that 20% of the wine was white wine. And so they were like diluting the quality of these wines back then. And that's all pretty much gone away. I'm sure there's still some producers that make them in baskets, but the Chianti of today is just such a superior wine. And when you smell this wine, you go right into Tuscany, that earthy first type of smell of herbs and spices. And I get lost in kind of the dried meats, salumis, the little fragrant dried spices that you pick up. The wine is Sangiovese dominant, and on the palate, it just has this amazing tannin that will just kind of bond with all these great Italian, the classic Italian dishes that you're going to get from Tuscany. And so Chianti is not only just a great everyday wine to go with a wonderful steak, a bistecca. You'd have it with your pastas, your pizzas, and everything. It just really transitions to any type of Italian feast. And this is a hell of a wine. Sarah, I don't think this price point has really moved that much in like a decade or more.
Yeah, no, we've kept it fixed, and definitely in the context of just the category, it's one of the more, I would say, affordable.
Yeah, and really, we're talking about seasoned estates with old vines, and they know what to plant where, and they're really picking up on that hillside character, the angle, the slope, amplifying quality here. And the Sangiovese grape itself has pretty thick skins and really has those rugged tannins that you extract with the juice there. The wine, this is a picture of Giovanni and his father. And really, these are very important people in the history of Italian wine. Giovanni's last name is Folonari. The family sold the Folonari name many years ago. And so that wine is made by others, but that's how long they've been in the wine business. They've been very important to the wine industry for a long time. And with that, we're going to show a little interview with Giovanni.
Yeah, and I will just say, as you're segueing, this is, I would say, the wine that kind of established our Italian portfolio for Co-Brand. It's almost over 50 years that we've been selling this one estate.
Well, I'm fine, thanks, Ian, and hope you are too.
Yes, I am. I'm so happy to see you. We've known each other a very long time, and we've done many great things in the business. Can you tell everyone just about, how did Nozzole get started? Where did you come from? Did you just start this brand?
No, well, not really. No, it has a long history, almost as long as my family. My family has been in the wine business for 8 generations. I'm number 8. So it's a little over 200 years. And so we make wine for a living. We don't make wine for a hobby. So we're always behind it, always trying to do better and to improve and to follow the consumer, because, this sometimes can be tough, because in Europe, people are very, a little snob. They think that because they're making wine for thousands of years, the wine should be the same. And if people change their habits, that doesn't work anymore. So we really have to follow what the consumer wants, but making always wines that are elegant and wines that have a strong identity. So these are the two main goals. We started, of course, with a brand that was called after our last name, Folonari, that was more related to everyday wines. And then at the beginning of last century, in 1913, my great-grandfather bought Ruffino, that was in my family for about 100 years. And then, as you know, family businesses are nice because you get the tradition and you go on with the generations. But the tough thing is that sometimes the number of the family members increases, with the new generation. So you always have to do some diversification or split up at some point. So we did that in 2000. And me and my father wanted to concentrate exclusively on our estates. So homegrown grapes, smaller but better. Because of that, in our family division, we inherited some of the most prestigious estates we had at the time, one of which was Nozzole. Nozzole has been in my family since 1972, when my grandfather bought it. And so it still is. Our goal is to concentrate on estates located in the most interesting areas of Toscana, Nozzole in the Chianti Classico, and then we have a property in Bolgheri, a property in Montalcino, so La Fuga's in Montalcino, Campalmare's Bolgheri, then we have Maremma, and then we have the Super Toscans with the Cabreros. So the idea is to take advantage of all what Tuscany has to give us, the best, and use it to make very interesting wines, hopefully.
Well, I have had the pleasure of visiting your estate, and I know my brother's on this Zoom tonight. We had a really fantastic time hanging out with you, your motorcycle, your beautiful family, and the property there, and Graziella, and
the food,
and the food, and just an amazing estate. Chianti seems to be having a little bit of a resurgence right now, and I'm wondering if it's because of people like yourself that have constantly been improving the product, and some of the movements that we've seen occur in Chianti. There was the Chianti 2000 initiative that kind of repositioned Chianti from a varietal mix, right? It was like 90% Sangiovese, I think is what they declared, and then it kind of cleaned up the product a little bit, allowed for other grape varieties to be included. Mm-hmm. I think you were always dabbing a little bit of Cabernet in there, right?
Yeah, well, actually the story is it's a little longer, because it started back in the 70s when we wanted to create something better than just the basic Chianti sold in a straw bottle that most people were buying because they wanted to keep the bottle more than the wine, than because of the wine inside. So that was a little sad. People changed their attitude. Now they're drinking less, but they want to drink better, thank God. So unfortunately, the consortium was not ready for the change. So we were forced to use 20% white varieties in the blend. The blend was made with 4 varieties, 2 reds, Sangiovese, which is our most important indigenous variety, and Canaiolo, and the 2 whites were Trebbiano and Malvasia. So as you know, it's impossible to make a high-end wine using red wine using 20% white varieties. So that the reason why that was done was to be able to make wines more drinkable, even if the fruit was not perfect. So most of the time we had overproduction. When we were picking, half of the grapes are green, and so with the tannins and stuff. So that was the main reason. Also because the Trebbiano, which is a white variety, has an incredible yield. It's very easy to grow. So was the joy of the grape grower. Unfortunately, we were not allowed to change back then. That's why most of these table wines then became IGT, nicknamed Super Toscans, were born in this area, because not being able to make a DOCG Chianti Classico in a different way than what it was in the past, we had to go somewhere else. And that's a shame, because most of the high-end wines produced in this area most of the times they're not DOCG, but they are IGT, they are Super Toscans. So Thank God the consortium throughout the years changed. So now we're not putting white varieties in the blend anymore. We can use a minimum of 80% Sangiovese, and from 0 to 20%, there is a long list of approved varieties, including the ones that you were mentioning earlier, like Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, or Canaiolo, Colorino, some indigenous. Now, our idea was to use a little bit of Cabernet or Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon or Merlot in the Riserva and in the top wines. But starting from vintage 2015, we decided to go only with Sangiovese. I mean, we love Cabernet. We get great results with the Super Toscans, with the Pareto, the Nozzole, or with the Cabreo, or great results in Bolgheri too, which is a different area, different climate. But we feel that our original traditional wines should be made with traditional grapes only. So our idea, our policy is to use 100% Sangiovese, because we don't trust much the other indigenous. We did several experimentations with Colorino, not bad. We tried to do something with Canaiolo. We were not successful. So our idea now is all of our Chianti Classico from Nozzole, from the vintage to the Riserva to the Riserva La Forra and the Gran Selezione, they're all made with 100% Sangiovese. Wow. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention quickly is the problem we're having now, as you were mentioning, Ian, earlier. We have a lot of producers like us, we're not the only ones, that worked a lot in developing the Sangiovese that now allows us to make great wines, even without the addition of other varieties. We really achieved great results, us and many others that work like us. So for this reason, this area has been reevaluated quite a bit because the average quality of the Chianti made in the Classico area is very high. Now, why do I say Classico? Unfortunately, the biggest problem we're having right now, which we always did, but now, especially with this difference in quality level, it's even more, is the confusion that people make between Chianti and Chianti Classico. Now, Chianti Classico, Classico means classic, it's the area with the appellation with the black rooster, okay? So the reason why it's called classic is because it's the oldest Chianti area in Tuscany, and that's only the geographical area that goes from Florence to Siena. So within this area is where most of these high-end producers are, and most of the high-end Chiantis are made, with few exceptions outside of the Classico, which I might think of Rufina, for example. Of course, Rufina, it's a town, and Rufino, it's a brand. A lot of people mistaken those two, so don't, please. But most of the high-end, besides this little exception of Rufina, they come from the Classico. So sometimes people go in a store and they see a Chianti that sells for $7 and a Chianti Classico Riserva that sells for 30, and people say, well, they're both Chiantis, what's going on? Well, this is the main reason. Now, in the Classico area, from Florence to Siena, that's where we are in Greve Chianti. That is where there is the highest concentration of high-end Chiantis. So the quality Chiantis come from the Classico. So the Classico, the Chianti Classico, is the consortium that has the little black rooster on top here.
And to be considered Classico Riserva, is that 2 years in bottle?
2 years. 2 years, no, 2 years counting from the 1st of January after the harvest.
Okay.
So it's a little more because the harvest is in October, so it's 2 years and 2 months. So you can release it, and it has to have at least 2.5 months of bottle aging for the Riserva. And of course, it has to age in oak for at least 1 year. Those are the parameters. Then, of course, some producers do even more because they feel that they need more because of the quality. But usually, by law, you can release the new vintage from January the 1st.
So this is an estate wine as well?
Yes. Well, we are trying to make all our wines estate. We have over 200 hectares of vineyards. Nozzole has 75, so Nozzole is the largest property that we own. The smallest is La Fuga and Montalcino is only 7 hectares, so it's very, very small. Consider 1 hectare is 2.2 acres, so multiply by 2 and add a little bit. And
your estate, your Chianti, your Classico, your Riserva, your 100%
yes.
Sangiovese, and I think that your persistence and consistency in elevating the game is why your brand is charting very, very well, and it's tasting great. We're going to taste it right now with your team. And I thank you very much for giving me this moment to see you again. I miss you, and I can't wait to come to Italy.
No, thank you for giving me this opportunity, because I mean, we need ambassadors like you, and we need good ambassadors like our importer, which is Co-Brand, with which, by the way, we have been working for since the late 60s, even before Nozzole was bought by us. So we had such a long partnership, and this really helps because, of course, we need to make a good wine, because you cannot sell smoke like we say in Italy. But if we make an excellent wine and then we don't have the people that go around, explain the wine and sell the wine, we can make the best wine in the world. We're going to keep it in a cellar and drink it ourselves. So thanks to you two and to Gordon and Sarah, you guys are doing a great job. Of course, I give you the right tools, but you are doing the job. So thank you.
Just make the wine good and it becomes an easier job for sure.
Thank you, Giovanni. I hope everyone's enjoying themselves. How's the wine treating you? Okay, you enjoy the Chianti? Ready for wine number 2? Any questions, please? I'm talking on chat a lot, and I thank you for your comments. All right, let's move into wine number 2. Still haven't gotten onto Facebook, but we'll just post the video later. If I miss the Facebook feed, then we'll just have to hang that video later. All right, so here we go. Let's go into wine number 2. And I'm blowing it. Hold on a second. There we go. Can you see that now?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet? Okay, where'd it go? Give me 1 second, please. All right. Gonna be that way. Okay. Just open it back up. We'll try that again. Now, wine number 2, everybody. Going to Barolo, which is in northern Italy, Piedmont. This wine is made from Nebbiolo. You can see on the map there in the left-hand corner, map of Italy. That's where Piedmont is, and inside of Piedmont is this place called Barolo. The family is Chiarlo, and it's a picture in the upper right hand corner is Michele Chiarlo, founder, and his 2 sons. Stefano is the winemaker, and Alberto is the face and the airplane tickets. He flies around the world and sells the wine. They own some really important property, including property in Trequio. I believe they have 2 properties that are protected by UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys have done a lot to not only educate the world about Barolo, but Barolo as a wine category is I mean, Chianti is pretty famous. I mean, if you went back in time and asked people what a famous wine of Italy would be, it would be Chianti. Barolo really didn't get organized until the 1980s. And has been quickly catching up. It's certainly an important wine today, and at Chiarlo, 60 harvests, 100% family owned and operated, no blends, no international varieties, historical vineyards, and 2 top vineyard UNESCO World Heritage Sites. That's Trequio and La Corte. couple of shots there. If you want to go to Italy with me, we are going to be announcing a trip to Italy in November of this year, and we're going to take, we'll have a cancellation clause of obviously if things go badly, but we're going to be optimistic that we're going to be able to travel, and November's the time to go because that's when the truffles are coming in, and we're going to go. We're going to meet you in Piedmont on Sunday, the weekend after Thanksgiving. So you have Thanksgiving with your family, get on a plane and come meet me in Barolo.
Yeah, and if you want to go here, you definitely can.
Yes, we will. He's got a new restaurant, a new hotel, so we'll have to check that all out. All right, give me one more minute. I think all my videos have now gone away.
So I'm just going to, while you're segueing, what we're having tonight, the Barolo, if you see on the bottle or just on your label, it says Tortoniano, and that is referring to one of two soils that you find in the general area where Barolo is made. You have 5 towns, so this is coming from La Mora, where you have this soil of Tortonian.
And ladies and gentlemen, Alberto Chiarlo. Well, appreciating life. We've done a lot of great things together, dinners, events, drives to the countryside. We went to a museum once, Alberto. We did some really fun stuff, and it's always been great to stay in touch with you. You're looking well.
That's it. Thank you very much, Ian. Very great memories of all time. You know, I'm one of the 2 sons of Michele. Michele Chiarlo, the name that there is on the label. My brother Stefano is the winemaker, and I'm taking care of sales and marketing.
Well, you do a good job of that.
That's right.
You have put on a lot of miles and going all over the world, huh?
Well, yes, you know, because this is also due to my father, because my father has always had export mentality, you know, and so we are in more than 60 countries in the world. We have been in China for 25 years, for giving you an example, but we are also very strong in Australia, in other countries in Asia. So traveling is one of the most beautiful things of our job, and I had the luck of traveling a lot, thanks to the wine.
That's great. Now, besides really, exciting people about Barbera, which you have done an amazing job with, and your Barbera continues to, in fact, I keep selling out of your Barbera out here, so it's going very, very well. But you are a really iconic producer of Barolo as well, and you've made a lot of really smart moves over the years, and continue to develop the brand. I think the amount of change and innovation and the things that you guys have done are really unprecedented. A new tasting facility, you've got a beautiful restaurant, you've got and the product line is strong, and so we're going to celebrate with Barolo on this event, and get some people to try the 2015, which is a great vintage.
Well, it's what I'm really happy is that we are trying a Barolo that is giving a lot of pleasure now. And this is not always easy with Barolo, especially with our Barolo, because we are considered Classico producer, because we never use barrique, small barrels. And so sometimes our Barolo takes a little longer for arriving to the top. But 2015 is one of those vintages in which we had such a wonderful summer, no rain, perfect harvest, and so it's very velvety, it's very ready to drink in our opinion.
What does Tortoniano mean,
Alberto? Well, Tortoniano is not the most sexy and most marketing oriented name, but it's because the soil. Because in Barolo there are 2 big type of soil. in the two big areas. And the Tortoniano is the name of the geological age in which the Barolo area was coming out from the seaside. And usually Tortoniano are the Barolos from La Morra, first of all, and then also from Barolo Verduno. So the Tortoniano Barolo is a Barolo that comes from the area that is named for making softer Barolo. But on top of that, what we wanted to really to say is that Tortoniano is the second wine from Cerrecchio, from our top single vineyard Barolo, because in this single vineyard we have 20 acres and we devote only 6 acres to the single vineyard, and the other 14 that represent 60% of the vineyard for making this wine goes in Tortoniano. So essentially this is the second Barolo from Cerrecchio, and for us the most important thing in Barolo is the great vineyard, and Cerrecchio is considered one of the 3-4 top vineyard since 19th century.
Well, and 15 being such a good vintage, what makes a good vintage happen in Barolo? I mean, there is considerable amount of vintage variation, but what is it that makes a good vintage?
With a joke, with a bad joke, we always say that the global warming has been helping us in Barolo because we have been harvesting under the sun most of the vintages. And this is the big difference that there was from the 80s and also from the 90s. Starting from 2000, we had very few vintages in which we had the rain in September. Because for answering to your question, 80%, my brother say, of vintage is done in the last 20 days. And the last 20 days of Nebbiolo, that are always in September, can be very dramatic if it's rainy and cold, but can be also very good if it's sunny and hot, and like it was in 2015. And so, but 2015 also on top of that had very cool nights. So September nights are no more than 15 Celsius, and so really, was a kind of paradise for the vineyard growers. We arrived to our Arabian Phoenix, that is the phenolic maturation of the tannins. I hope that I'm not becoming too boring.
No, that's great. And that slow maturation that you achieve in the large cask. How many years is that?
Well, for us is 2 years and a half in the large cask, after the fermentation in the open cask. So there is no stainless steel, but old style fermentation. But also then there is at least 18 months of bottle age, because for us is also very important bottle aging in Barolo for gaining complexity, and also because again this process is longer, but wants to keep all the subtle complexity of Barolo, and so we never release the wine when we could, so in January, but we release at least in October, November. So instead of having 3 years, it has always 4 years, our Barolo.
When people say the classic definition of Barolo, they say tar and roses, and I always get the tar part, but the roses part, you kind of have to really close your eyes and hope to smell a little bit of roses. But your wine is very pretty and very a really wonderful style, buddy. And congratulations on the big scores and the great rewards that you're achieving. Is there anything that you can see coming down the pipeline in the future for your family, for the brand? What else you got coming up?
Well, I can tell you 2 small secrets because they are not official yet, but we are going to release two top single vineyards in the next 2 years. One is going to be Canubi Riserva that we release the 2016 at the end of next year, 150 cases. And the other one is Barbaresco, that is Montestefano Riserva, again 150 cases of production. But these two wines together with our Cerrecchio Riserva, they are going to be our most important small jewels. And they will both see life in the next 2 years. So it's going to be 2 important years for us.
Excellent. Now, the pandemic has changed the world in a big way. Are you guys still in lockdown there?
Yeah, yes, we are, but hopefully we'll be in what we call in Italy yellow area. That means that restaurants can be open for lunchtime and up to 6 o'clock afternoon from 20 something of April, so in 10 days.
Wow. Well, we the American population can't wait for you guys to punch through the other side. We are all itching to come visit Italy, and we are feeling quite. We're not an island, but it feels a little bit like it right now.
The 2nd of May, we are opening our Barolo Resort Palace Cerrecchio, and we have the new Michelin star chef Damiano Nigra, that is the resident chef. And so, we wanted to have you there because, we want you to taste several vintages together, but especially, to taste our wines with the food, because this is our idea always, to make great wines for restaurants. So we want the restaurant to be open.
Well, we all hope for that, buddy, and we wish you well, and thank you for being on the Zoom with us and saying hi. I can't encourage people enough to visit the Chiarlo family when in Piedmont, but also look out for a large number of really amazing wines that they produce, a brand that you can trust. And Alberto, it's just always great to see you, man.
It's always great to see you. Hope to see you alive very soon, my friend.
All right, be well, and say hi to your brother for me.
Grazie. Ciao, caro.
Ciao. Grazie. All right. Always great to hang out with the Chiarlo. He's just Superman and really been amazing. We've had a lot of fun out there in the streets, seeing accounts and stuff. He always remembers me because every time he comes to LA and we have dinner or go out and see some people, we get back when they're rolling up the streets. So we press it pretty hard. But I hope everyone enjoyed that wine. It's really pretty tonight, Sarah. It's got, I told him that I always have a hard time smelling roses, but that's what I smelt.
You smelt it, yeah.
Yeah, it's really a beautiful aromatic. It's kind of like that fresh rose, that kind of, and still maybe a little cold coming out of the refrigerator, and it's just starting to open up a little bit. That's what you smell there. Really cool. Hope you guys enjoyed that.
Yeah, and also the Palace Cerrecchio that they have is amazing. They have their Michelin restaurant. There's like another dozen Michelin restaurants in their neighborhood, and it's open to everybody. And if you're ever going, yes, with Ian's trip, well, hopefully we can do a tour and tasting there.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, people say, oh, whenever I go to Italy, I never gain weight. I eat, I walk a lot. No, I gain like 20 pounds because I eat like lengthy meals, and we open up, like, you go to the wine list there and they don't mark up the wine list like we do here. You get to drink like deep into the cellar, and you can have wines that they don't even import into America. And just the casual place on the corner in one of the towns will be like one of the best meals you've ever had.
Yeah.
So everything is made like
a la minute and just really, really tremendous. So you might want to think about it if you can make it. Let's hope the dollar gets stronger.
Yeah.
All right, Oleg, you been there, buddy? You've been to Barolo many times. All right, maybe you've been to Oleg's restaurant. It's called Tractor. He's got a couple locations. I like to drink wine with Oleg. All right, we're gonna go into wine number 3. And let me see if I can get when I go to the video screen, I can't touch anything because the video freaks out. So I always have to like get everything else back in order from that moment. So give me 1 second while I make sure I got the right thing up. There we go. All right, feeling large and in charge. We're moving into wine number 3. This time we're going to a property called Tenuta de Baserna. And this is something maybe some of you haven't tried before, and that's why I'm kind of excited to introduce it and kind of get ahead of Sarah here. I honestly, Sarah, tasted this wine with you for the first time recently when I got to go to Baserno, which was quite a journey because this is not like a tourist destination extraordinary. This is where you want to go, but you definitely have to have GPS. You go back through these forests and you finally get to the property, and it is this gorgeous estate surrounded by heavy woods and trees, and this guy has had like many lives in the wine industry. Now he's represented by a family in our presentation tonight, but Lodovico Antinori is who we're talking about. He's the founder of this property, and he founded the brand Ornellaia. Now Ornellaia, he lost Ornellaia in some bad financing, contractual type of stuff, and now that's owned by another family. But he is so good at what he does that he was able to pull together the power and the finances to be able to go back in and establish the Baserno brand. So pretty amazing. There's a picture of Lodovico up in the corner, and where you find Baserno, very close to the ocean. Bulgari coast is where we're gonna be, and that's where Ornellaia, Sassicaia, and all the big expensive wines of they call them Super Tuscans are found, and that's what we're about to taste, is kind of a baby Super Tuscan here. Really a pretty estate, as you can see.
I love these pictures because I think they capture just the quintessential kind of Tuscan light that the region's so known for.
And you are, pretty close to the ocean here. You can definitely go and have a great seafood meal 20 minutes away on the coast. Frito misto.
Actually, a very, very famous a seafood restaurant not too far from Bulgari.
And a look at the vineyards. Now, going on 20 plus years old, if not older. I think they've even secured some older vineyards when they bought this site. But really gorgeous, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So, this is Lodovico Antinori's property, Upper Maremma. Unique blends with higher component of Cabernet Franc. And since we're putting the wine in the glass here, Sarah, can you tell us approximate blend on this wine?
Yeah, so this actually what kind of sets it apart is it has some Syrah to it, about 35%, and some Merlot, Cab Franc, Cab Sauv, and Petit Verdot. But really, Cab Franc for of their other productions is kind of the driver varietal and also a kind of differentiation point for them from Sanguido, which focuses on Cabernet Sauvignon, and Ornellaia, that's a little more of a Merlot focused house.
Super cool. And you can see on the map now where Biserno is, where Sassicaia is known as Tenuta Sanguido.
Yeah.
And then Tenuta Capo El Mare is the property that's owned by the Folonari family.
Yeah, and they compare Bulgari and where we are now, Bibona. They very much are just right next to one another, and they compare it like in the left bank of Bordeaux, or excuse me, the right bank of Saint-Emilion and Pomerol. Very much similar, but different in, its own ways.
All right, so let's go to our video and we'll meet the family and talk about these wines. And we're going to be talking with Niccolò Lenzi. Let's see if we can get that to share correctly. I'm not seeing it. Are you seeing it, Sarah?
Oh, I see me.
There you are. Okay.
It's a very early morning.
All right, here we go.
For the opportunity. Thank you for organizing this, Sarah.
I have many questions, and we don't have a lot of time, but I kind of that past up to today and talk about how Lodovico started Ornellaia.
Yes, absolutely. It's part of the past, of the history of this area in general, together with Sassicaia. I think the two that really made the notoriety of this area are definitely Sassicaia, Mario Cisello-Urqueta, and then Lodovico, who when he decided at the beginning of the 80s to start Ornellaia, he obviously understood the potential of the area. And only later on, when he decided to move on from his previous project to Tenuta di Biserno, he expanded a bit the area, because you have to know that Tenuta di Biserno was prospected by Lodovico already back in 1995. He was looking for some more land to increase Ornellaia, and he had looked at this estate, but the estate is fairly large compared to Ornellaia. At the time, Ornellaia was only 25 hectares. I don't know how to translate it in acres, and Biserno was already back then 40. So and wasn't planted, but he knew that by the type of soil and the diversity of exposure and so on, it was gonna somehow influence the personality of Ornellaia, because Ornellaia was more Cabernet based, Cabernet Sauvignon based, where these soils were more suited and today we have the confirmation of that for Cabernet Franc and Merlot. And then, of course, Cabernet Sauvignon and Petit Verdot. So, to make a long story short, at the beginning of 2000, we all got together because that was actually part of the initial project. And Lodovico expressed the desire of wanting to start this new project. He talked about it with his brother Piero, who is the chairman of the Marchesi Antinori company. And at the same time, I had spoken to my uncle Piero, expressing the desire of joining the family business. I wanted to start working in the wine industry. I was very passionate, but more as a drinker than really working into the industry. And that's how it all started. So we started from scratch. The vineyards weren't there. There was nothing, but that's how it all began.
Oh, beautiful. Sarah, I'm sorry. He's got such a great vocal tone. Didn't you tell me he's family's in the Hollywood business a little bit? Do you remember the link there, Sarah?
Oh, sorry. I was thinking that was on the video. Yeah, so his sister-in-law is an actress, Ava Green.
Ava Green. Was she a James Bond girl?
Yeah, it's his wife's twin sister.
Holy moly. All right. So
So, like I said, I have had the great pleasure of being on the property there. It's absolutely spectacular. It is definitely, you know, an adventure getting there as well. I remember the driver and our expert trying to wiggle through some pretty small roads to get up through. It's in. Would you consider it like the forests of Bulgari? Is that what we could say?
Yeah, absolutely. It's basically called La Macchia della Magona, which is the entire forest is a big word, because forest, you imagine big trees. It's sort of a typical Mediterranean vegetation, which is quite shorter than that, which is on the hills. It's basically part of the hill reef, if you want, that makes it such a microclimate in this area. I mean, the fact that we have these hills behind our back and the fact that we have the sea in front is what protects us from many atmospheric changes, and at the same time it keeps everything in there. So we are just bordering the district of Bolgheri. We're just attached to it, right, basically, but obviously we are in a different town. We've used this over and over, but it's basically, for the ones that are familiar with Bordeaux, you know, it's between Pomerol and Saint-Emilion. You have one road that divides them, and you know, actually, I like to often talk about the fact that there is one person that has a house which is half in Bolgheri and half in Bibona, and it's just at the limit, and it's quite funny.
Well, I mean, you definitely are a brand that has been pioneering from the beginning, going back to the roots of the original Super Tuscans. Lodovico started Ornellaia, and then sold Ornellaia and became the proprietor of Biserno, and planted Biserno in what year?
2001.
2000.
We started the whole, the entire, it was very interesting, because when we started planting, we realized also the diversity of the soils. And in a matter of fact, the properties are split in two. There's one side, which is Biserno, which is about approximately 40 hectares, and it's all around the house, which is where we host our guests when they come and visit us, where you've been, obviously.
Yep.
And then we have another part of the property, which is called Campo di Sasso, which is on the lower side of the hill, on sandier soils. And in that side, in that part, we not only planted the Baroto varietals, but we also planted some Syrah. And that's the main component.
That's the main component of the Cinghiale?
Yeah, absolutely, the Insoglio del Cinghiale. And the reason for that, initially, it was because the soils were more suited, but also on top of that, we felt that the Syrah was going to play a major role in making an entry-level wine more pleasant, fleshy, fruit-forward, adding a little spice, and not making it a dull wine. I mean, it is a wine with personality. It's a very pleasing, it's a no-brainer, as I like to call it, a very pleasing wine, but at the same time has a lot of personality. And I think it's important. I mean, there are so many good wines out there. I think the success of Insoglio is definitely its character.
And I noticed there's some Cab Franc, Merlot, and Petit Verdot in the blend as well. So
yeah.
Truly a proprietary blend.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I do see a lot of new efforts in Tuscany on the coast, looking at Syrah, and there's just nothing you can't grow in this lush Mediterranean area. The flavor intensity, the richness and the quality and the value that you find in this particular bottling, it's really a key for it. And it seems to be maybe the driver of, you know, how you're going to be able to get more people to be aware of Biserno. Obviously, the top wine of the estate being quite a bit more money and a little bit more precious. But this wine really a great entry into the estate's state of mind, and a great ambassador for the brand.
Absolutely.
Biserno, yeah.
I think we feel very strongly about exactly what you were saying. We feel very strongly about that. You have to keep in mind one other aspect is that the two wines, the main wines of Biserno and Pino di Biserno, have very distinctive vineyards that make the blend. Now, anything that doesn't go in either of the two goes into Insoglio. So basically, you still get incredible juice that tops up the Insoglio blend. So not only you have that Syrah side that's very pleasing, but also you have some really top quality juice that gives a good feel of what we are trying to do at Biserno.
It's fantastic. Well, if Niccolò, if you get tired of the wine industry, that great voice of yours could be a wonderful. In Hollywood, you could be a voiceover artist.
Thank you.
His wife is part of the industry.
There you go. Oh yeah.
Yes, my sister-in-law. Yes, my sister-in-law.
Oh, sister-in-law. Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah, but my wife escaped. She didn't want to be part of it, but.
Well, it's great to have you here, and I look forward to running into you in our travels and a time to visit. But I'm going to encourage everybody that's on this Zoom to be looking for the growth of the Biserno brand. It's still a baby in some regards. It's still being developed and taking form. A lot of people haven't tried many of the Biserno line, but this is a great ambassador, a great foray into the Biserno future, and certainly the future's bright. So we thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, bye-bye.
Thank you, Sarah.
Ciao, Sarah. Thank you.
Cool. This wine's showing great, Sarah.
Yeah, no, this has been just one of my favorites. You know, as an entry-level wine for an estate, you know, it's a pretty high caliber that they're starting with. And just to give you an idea for the other two wines that they have from the property, the top one that we have here in the state, Biserno di Biserno, is, you know, kind of the silent cult super Tuscan guy at the moment. That's what I really like about this estate is, you know, there's obviously a lot of heavy hitters coming from the area. That's a heavy hitting family of Antinori, but still kind of, you know, off the radar and still getting discovered. So I think it's fun that you guys are getting part of, you know, an insight to this estate tonight.
Lots of comments in the chat box about how.
Yeah, everybody's loving it. Yeah, it's got, I know that Syrah and the juiciness, you know, it's.
Yeah.
We kept it, you know, very, you know, for the first two wines, they're not blends. You know, they're very specific of what they are and, you know, a little bit more linear. And now we're going to kind of say fatten it up a little bit just with, you know, complexity for weight and body. But I think this one definitely graduates us that.
I think those first two wines too are almost in need of food. Yeah. Whereas this one's like something you could just sit around.
Totally.
Watch a hour-long Zoom.
Yeah.
Glass of. So let's go into wine number 4. I'm feeling pretty good already. Hope everyone's doing okay.
Well, they can even have 4 and 5 together, right? Because it's from the same estate. Cool. So you could even do them side by side.
No. Joel's giving me the negative on my thumbs up. Joel, I was checking out that view that you have there. You got a pretty nice view out that window. Yeah, baby. Good job.
I will say, Ian, I really like this component of having these interviews. This is my first. I've done a lot of these Zoom events and tastings, but to have this component with the interview of the producers, it really adds a nice touch.
Yeah, you know, these guys all kind of, you know, when you start talking to them about the wine, all of a sudden you kind of connect to the wine in a different way.
Yeah.
Because they're you know, really representing what's in the glass. So, and I will say that everyone's in for a really special treat. This next property that we're about to visit, we're going to taste 2 wines from them, and these are hard not to love.
Yeah.
This is just the guy who owns this property is like probably on the cover of some magazines like Fortune 500 or something like that in Italy. He when I got to see him, or he came to LA, it was kind of like, you know, touring the Pope. He was involved in the financing of Prada, of major fashion houses. He's involved in a bank. His family has some historic property. This guy is a baller in the big old fashioned Italian style. In fact, he refuses to speak English. I know he speaks. He
does. He definitely can understand, but he leads on that he doesn't.
So we get to talk to his son, huh?
Yeah, Amedeo.
Okay, cool. And we'll get to that really quickly because Amadeo's a good-looking dude, and he's got that's his father there in the corner.
Yeah, Antonio.
Dottore Antonio Moretti. And this bridge right here apparently is in the Mona Lisa. Is that right? Or
yeah, you see right there on her left shoulder.
Okay.
There's the teeny little bridge, and yes, that's the same bridge that is right near the estate, and for which the estate's name comes from. The seven bridges.
Yeah. Right, I got it now. I see it finally. Okay, it's
yeah. See kind of the arches. Yeah. So.
Got it.
We call this Leonardo da Vinci's wine.
Sweet. Let me get rid of my little circle. All right. So another beautiful place. Just amazing history here, and we'll talk about that in the video. But I want to just show you, you know, like you're visiting now, and I love these trees. You know, you're going to a significant estate when they have these really bitchin' trees up the left-hand side there. It's like every estate's got to have those.
The cypress, yeah, they're quintessential Tuscan.
There you go. So his title here is Luxury Goods Entrepreneur. I like that.
Yes.
And this is not a super old brand, but it is a super old estate. And so when he put his name on it, he did it to win it. And he hired like the very best winemaker team, vineyard team, everything. He came at it at all angles. So we're going to taste both Oreno and Crognolo from this property right now. So I'm just going to finish a couple more slides, give you the full effect. The horses, the villa, the vineyard.
Yeah, that's some of the oldest Sangiovese planted in Tuscany, dating back to 1935.
And this is like an old olive oil press?
Yeah, and a cellaring room now.
Nice. It's cool. All right. So now we'll go to meet Amedeo Moretti. Stop that share.
This is fun watching these after doing them.
Thank you for organizing them. And literally, Sarah and I were many a morning getting together, being able to talk to Italy. You have to be about 7, 8, 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
So that we can talk to them about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So here we go with Amedeo.
Hi. Can you hear me? Buongiorno a voi. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very good. You?
Outstanding. Thank
Well,
you. Thank you for making time for us.
No, thanks you for having me.
Perfect backdrop there. I like that. Subliminal selling. I like it.
That's good. And I want to jump right in. Amedeo, thank you for making time with us. And Tenuta, Sette, Ponti.
Yes.
Super exciting brand based in Tuscany. You have also some other brands that you parent, but we're going to be focusing right now on Tenuta, Sette, Ponti with its 2 items, the Crognolo and and then we'll talk about Oreno. Oreno being the top wine of the estate, and it's
Exactly.
a huge scoring wine, and Crognolo, and a complete overachiever. Just really, really a delicious offering, and I've had the pleasure, I believe, to receive. Is it your father?
Exactly. That's my father.
Wow.
Who's in charge of making wine. Me and my brother are more focused on selling it.
I'm very happy to meet you because your father never liked to speak English.
No, actually, no. He's very shy speaking English. He prefers to speak Italian.
Yeah, I always felt like I was touring Tuscan royalty, or maybe even like the Pope when he came into town, because he had such a presence about him, but I couldn't get a word of English out of him, so I always was a little bit scared.
Okay. Yeah, it's not easy. Like he's shy to speak English, so he prefers us to do it.
Yes. Well, thank you for being here. We're excited about tasting these wines. We're going to do that after we learn a little bit about it. When was the brand started?
So, Tenuta Sette Ponti is our first winery estate, and it all started back in 1951 when my grandfather purchased the estate and took over the estate from the Italian royal family. He decided this particular area because already back in time, the Italian royal family planted a Sangiovese in 1935. And since the Italian royal family had a French background, because they were coming from Savoy, from Aosta, north of Italy, very close to Piedmont, they had a lot of knowledge about French wine and decided to take this special area in Tuscany because the terroir and the quality of Sangiovese was very elegant, pretty much as Piedmont and French wine. So it all started like that. My grandfather decided to do a research. He found out this beautiful area in Tuscany and purchased the estate from the royal family. So everything started basically with Sangiovese because my grandfather was in love with Sangiovese, and from 1951 to mid of 90s, Tenuta Sette Ponti was mainly a Sangiovese estate. Then it was my father who, given the result of this very good Sangiovese, he decided to move forward and plant more international varieties. So he started to plant the Merlot, Cabernet, Petit Verdot, and that's how it started, and the change from 100% Sangiovese to a more international varieties. And the first one was Crognolo. Crognolo is, I would say, a bridge from my grandfather to my father, because it's still today it comes from 90% of Sangiovese and 10% of Merlot. But it's a very modern Sangiovese. You taste it's very round, very elegant, very pleasant, and it's our Sangiovese is very, very typical. We always say that it's an autochthon variety of Tenuta Sette Ponti because all the Sangiovese that we have, it come from a clone that was planted of this Sangiovese in 1935. You can see this vineyard has huge. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
huge. If you see the trees, they're very big. They look like olive trees. Yeah. And these are 85 years old Sangiovese vines. From this, it all started because we took the clones from this very old vineyards and then we planted the other hectares of Sangiovese. So in Crognolo, there is this strong DNA of our own Sangiovese, and that was make it special and more elegant and very pleasant Sangiovese, because usually back in time, the Sangiovese was a little bit strong, a little bit even rough sometimes. It's a very peculiar and characteristic variety. And we always work to make it much more elegant than its original DNA. And so 1998 was the first vintage of Crognolo. And we just celebrated last year the 20 years of our Crognolo, and we were very happy. and it's actually the killer wine for us, because I mean it's number one sales, and it's we are very proud because we do like quite interesting volumes, and it's not easy at all to have this quality when you do like thousands of bottles. So we're very, very proud, and I have to thank my father actually, because I drink a lot thanks to him, because he has an amazing team. We have an amazing team, but like he's more in charge with his winemaker and agronomist. So I mean, it's our first international wine that makes us really proud of it.
Well,
Then
I think the recipe is certainly I got the impression from meeting your father and from when I got to visit the estate many years ago. I felt like there was a pattern. You start with an incredible piece of property. You hire a top agronomist.
Yes, exactly.
And is Carlo Farini still associated?
Not anymore. Since 2012, we have Caviola, which is who's a superb winemaker from Piedmont, and so he started with Farini and then moved forward with Caviola. But he always look for the best of the market, even with agronomists, even people that they work with us 365 days a year. So he always point having the best for what we would like to do.
And your father has this very strong business sense. He has quite a few businesses that he's been involved in. If I correct me if I'm wrong, but he is very much in the banking world, in the fashion world. And
exactly, like our we say story come mainly from the fashion industry. So wine is started from. We always have wine in the family, of course, but it was more kind of a hobby, a pleasure to have it. Like it wasn't like a really business for us. But even today, whenever it comes out with a new wine or a new blend, or he's always experimenting, he always want to pleasure himself, in a good way, because he does a new wine because he really like it what he's doing, not because the market needs this or because the market needs that. It's really still a passion, a strong passion for him, and I'm so happy because he really passed this passion to us. So we look forward to do even better than him.
Well, let me tell you a fun little story that I connect with your brand. I got to spend just a couple of weeks writing with James Suckling, who and your family have a good relationship, and your father came over to Mr. Suckling's house, and I was privy to be there, and I was with my wife, and we said, we want to do a little shopping. Maybe we go to the Prada outlet.
Exactly.
And within a second, your dad's like, da, 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 da. And
exactly.
I got to Prada, and we were the absolute top guest Prada that day. So really an awesome man, and he knows he is connected to everything that's important to me. There, and I was really impressed. So it's always been a really joy to sell and taste these wines. Sarah, have you been there yourself?
Yes, I have. It's a gorgeous property. I love it. Really encompasses just the area, and I think I remember we heard they were doing some hunting in the background. I remember your father or someone saying "Oh, there's our lunch right there." Very au naturel. That's what I remember most from there.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, so Crognolo has been doing very well and continues its to over deliver this incredible value proposition. I see the new 18 vintage. That's what we're showing off, right, Sarah?
Correct.
Just got some really good press. 92 points. Wine Spectator 93 points. Wine Advocate. This is a wine that works really hard in Los Angeles, a very competitive wine marketplace, and for the price, it's really an insane bottle of wine that you can depend on, and it drinks immediately, and it's just got this, like you say, you work really hard to make this intense fruit very approachable, and some great winemaking for sure. So we're really appreciative of Crognolo, and it's a wonderful entree to get into the Oreno wine, which is kind of the star of our show tonight. This is a leading wine of Italy. It's been heavily awarded. It always gets amazing scores, and it's again kind of over delivery type of a wine, because it competes with wines that are twice as expensive, but the same scores, and maybe even better top 100 listings and things like that. So Oreno is really an amazing wine. What does the word Crognolo mean, and what does Oreno mean?
Okay, yeah. Crognolo is actually like a typical plant that we have in the property, and actually in this area of Tuscany. And it's a plant that it's very strong. It's very characteristic. It's always been used because of this characteristic to be like very, very solid, very strong and tough plant. And it used to be also to make poles or to make a kind of nest. So it's a plant that we always have it in the property, and it's like very close to us. Oreno, on the other hand, it's the name of the river that crosses all the property. So it crosses all Tenuta, Sette, Ponti. And back in time, it was the life, because you used to take water from the river, to irrigate all the soil around. So we always say that it's the life of the state. And we decided to give the name to our most important wine.
And this is the river that, as it says here in the photo.
No, this is River Arno, and actually this is a very interesting and famous bridge, because Tenuta Sette Ponti means estate 7 bridges. So in the very old road that used to link Arezzo from Florence, this was a road dated back in the 11th century. So it's a very, very old road. And this road used to cross this for 7 times this river Arno, which is the most important river in Tuscany. And that's why this road is called Sette Ponti. And it's the middle, actually, it's in the state is in the middle of this road. And the bridge that you just showed is very important because it's like painted on the back of Mona Lisa from Leonardo da Vinci, which is this famous painting that is at Louvre. And if you can see, like on the back here is the bridge that you're showing. Wow. So this painting is like very famous because it's of course painted by Leonardo da Vinci, and it's shown at Louvre in Paris, in Paris. So actually the Merlot vineyards are basically facing the bridge and the Arno side that you just showed in the picture.
Fantastic! Wow. Well, a lot to ingest because we're talking about 2 very important wines from one estate, Tenuta Sette Ponti, Crognolo being kind of the main ambassador of, you'll find it in more places, and then this rare wine, this special wine, Crognolo, is this top scoring effort of the estate and the star of our show tonight. And Sarah, what vintage are we tasting of Oreno?
2017.
2017. Cool. Well, spectacular. And is there anything special that you do for Oreno that?
Yes, we keep most of our effort and like synergies, like they are like focused on Oreno. Because we really want to have the best quality of the grape. I give you an example. Oreno now is a 100% Bordelaise blend, and it's 50% Merlot, 40% Cabernet, and 10% Verdot. To give you an example, on the Petit Verdot that we have during the green harvest, which happens in July, end of July, we do like a selection of 70% of the grape. It means that usually every plant, they have around like 10 grapes, let's say. So we cut them off 7 and they only remain 3. So it's an immense waste of grapes, but that helps us to reach like the best quality and to have very intense little grape that then goes to Oreno. And this happens on Merlot, less percentage, obviously, because otherwise the results will be too intense, and on the Cabernet as well. So we really pay a lot of attention on the vineyard, on the Merlot that will go on the final blend.
Amedeo, also maybe you could speak to, I know that you recently went through the process of getting the certification of having the vineyards as organic.
Exactly, yes. On 2020, the harvest is 100% organic. And so finally, the vineyard was already since 2014. The winery, finally, from 2020, will be 100% organic.
Wow. Yeah,
Yes.
a beautiful estate and gorgeous. I think this is a new feature too. Is this a signature bottle?
Exactly. It's a, how do you say, bold written? No.
Like
Embossed or imprinted.
Embossed, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's it makes it like more luxury and like more important. We like it like to give importance to this bottle because it's very, very important to us. We used to say that Oreno is our hate and love. You know, when you care a lot of something and there is this mixed feeling of love and hate at the same time because you put so much like effort on doing it and you care a lot. So like the harvest, when we harvest the vineyard that goes to Oreno, like it's a lot of anxious, a lot of anxiety because everything has to be perfect and at the right time. So it's we really like put all our best in it.
Beautiful, bravo. Thank you so much. We're thankful to have you on the Zoom. We've done these tastings for years, live in person, but now we get to connect a little bit quicker, a little more efficiently with this product, and it's wonderful to be Zooming with you this morning, and I look forward to meeting you in the future.
Thanks to you. Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you,
Ciao.
Andrea.
Bye. Thank you.
Ciao. Thank you.
Ciao. Ciao.
Awesome. Good guy.
Yeah, he's just a sweetheart, you know, and I love with Oreno that, yeah, it kind of has, if you think, a little bit more modern aspect to it, but if you put it up against Napa Cabs, you obviously could hold its own, but when it comes to the price of it, it doesn't come with that price tag, but you still get just that high quality and great concentration. And I love that you guys are drinking 2001. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
This wine, yeah, all the phenomenal vintages, you name it, it's in my cellar, and it's just, you can obviously drink it now, decant it, but if you are somebody who does like to collect, this is one for the books.
Yeah, and this vintage would definitely benefit from a little more time. 17 is not as ripe as some of the other vintages, but this is a good vintage.
Yeah.
But will probably, 5 years be a different wine. As we're noting some of the, Perazines that you can get on the nose, kind of the bell pepper element. And then, the integration of this wine, it just takes some time.
Yeah.
And, but all the pieces are there. And so you just have to have a little imagination, and being able to buy this wine and watch it get better at this price point. This is a wine that probably when it first came out, I remember we kind of suffered. I worked for Co-Brand back in the early 2000s. And so we really kind of suffered trying to sell this for $125, and there's a lot of competition at that price point. And so in today's market, this wine is a little bit less than that, and we're able to sell it tonight. I think it's less than like $75, and this is just really, really epic juice for 75 or less. and be able to, you can compare it to a $200 bottle of wine. Absolutely, all day long.
100%.
Yeah. So check out the website because I've got special prices tonight, and I'm going to put this on this video on YouTube. So I don't want to forever burden the website with that price, but the price that we have tonight is really close to what I pay for it. So please jump on top of that if you like the wine. And it's a really good opportunity. Remember, when you buy any 6 bottles from us, you get 5% off any 12 bottles, not just of one wine. You can assort. You can even buy a $5 bottle of wine and build towards the 12 bottle case. You get 10% off. So in the city of Los Angeles, free delivery too. So do try to take advantage of that. And we've got one more wine. So
I'm stretch.
All right, here we go.
I'm heading off the mainland.
That's right. We're gonna go over to Sardinia now. We're gonna hang out with Salvatore Santos. And I gotta tell you, I'm personally very fascinated by Sardinia. And I think it's just the whole idea of living in a blue zone would be kind of cool. I think I'm finally ready for that. So we're going to watch the video first here, and then we'll get into the data. Well, I will tell you, of all of the co-brand wineries, this is the wine I need to learn the most about. I have never been to Sardinia, although it is absolutely at the top of my list of places to visit. From what I read, I actually want to move there.
You will be very welcome.
And I hear things like it's got the longest life expectancy. It's a blue zone, right? People live a very long time there, and probably because they're eating very healthy and living in that non-polluted, pristine, kind of untouched island of Sardinia.
Yeah, it is an island quite far from the mainland, Italy mainland. And because of that, and also because it's not very populated, we got just 1.6 million people living here. If you consider, just to give you a comparison, that Sicily is as big as Sardinia, but they got 5 million people living in the island. So that tells you that this island has, much less, as you said, pollution, and it's very clean and green.
Beautiful. And the winery was a winery before, but the current name Agricola Punica purchased this brand in about 2002, I believe is what I read.
Yes, that's correct. It was the winery established in 2002 by 2 other important wineries in Italy, and I'm sure you know both of them. Cantina di Sant'Ali here in Sardinia, and Tenuta San Guido in Toscana.
Amazing. And the wine is made at your facility, not at Sessacaya, but the same winemaker travels back and forth.
To just to let others know that the Giacomo D'Arcis, the founder and winemaker of Punica, he passed away. So since then we had another winemaker. One of his students over 3 years ago. There has been a changeover in the winemaker.
Yeah, very good, very good. And the wine that we're tasting tonight is, I guess, a fairly indigenous blend of different grape varieties, both modern and is Crognolo considered an indigenous variety of Sardinia?
Yes, absolutely. It's considered actually an autochthonous variety because it is said probably was brought in by this ancient population, the Phoenicians, coming from Northern Africa, some, let's say, 2,000 and 800 years ago. Okay, so very long time ago. But there are different theories on that, but that's one of the, let's say, most believed to be the truth. So Sardinia has been, let's say, cultivating grapes since a long time, and probably winemaking since then, making the wine, just cultivating grapes. So Carignano is absolutely an indigenous grape of Sardinia, and specifically from southern Sardinia.
Gotcha. And the vineyard that you acquired, the vines have been growing there for a long time as well. These are older vines.
Yes, that's true for many, let's say, wineries producing Carignano grape and so Carignano wines, because there are many vineyards who are, let's say, planted along the shores, or anyway, close to the coast of Agricola, where the soil is very sandy, and you can afford keeping, the original rootstock. So the vines are actually on their own roots that are still not, grafting. So as it happens, in most of the other areas. To be precise, our vines are not that close to the coastal area, though it's not too far. But we cannot say they are on predominantly sandy soil. The soil has a good percentage of sand, but it also, let's say, it has also mostly limestone, clay, some schist here and there. Okay, so all our vineyards, the vines have that, grafted rootstock, are not on the original home group, because the soil doesn't allow to do that. But what you said is true for many other vineyards, especially the ones belonging to Cantina Santalia, one of the companies. They got many, of those vineyards as old as 100 years.
Wow. Well, and how far away from the coast are you if you were to drive from your vineyards? You're up in the mountains of Sardinia, so the kind of the middle of the island.
We are in the deep south, okay, and the nearest shores are, just 20 minutes drive, which is about 7 miles, okay.
What is a traditional dish that we would potentially have with a wine made with Carignano on Sardinia? What would you pair with it there?
Well, the typical Sardinian dish is the roasted suckling pig. That's kind of benchmark for Sardinia. Certainly a dish that can be paired very well with a wine like Montessu, because it's a wine that obviously matches very well. Say red meat is meat. Roasted, also grilled meat can be fine, or maybe also a rich stew or something, a bit spiced as well.
All right. Well, we'll have to get a Sardinian recipe for roasted suckling pig out to our clients so they can try this. But a beautiful wine and really an exciting addition in my wine regiment. I love what the islands bring to the wines. A little more sunshine definition, a little more salty air, a little more just kind of island personality. And this wine checks a lot of boxes for me. and is quite a good value for the U.S. consumer as well.
Yeah, that's true. All these components are in their own way beautiful. We'll add also some minerality. All the bouquet, all the scents and the perfumes and the notes tell you about this part of Italy, Sardinia, the Mediterranean maki. All the typical trees and flowers of this.
Well, there's a number of great references coming out of Sardinia for sure. They're getting great attention, really fantastic price points, and the wines are exciting. And I think that this is a great moment for us to be introduced to this particular wine. Thank you, Sarah. And wonderful to meet you, Salvatore. And we hope that the people that are watching our Zoom tonight will plan to visit Sardinia and also support this brand wherever you may be. This is going to be found in better Italian restaurants, better retailers, and we're very fortunate to have it, and we're going to be very loyal to this wine because it's something I love, and it's a really great value proposition, like I said. So I'll look forward to being a big representative for you.
Well, I can just thank you for your attention. Thank you for this interview, and it will be a real pleasure to have all the American audience, coming over one day to visit Sardinia, and even as soon as it gets possible again, to visit our facility and our company and have a tasting with us.
Well, thank you very much. You have a great day, and we'll look forward to seeing you in Italy, and be well.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Awesome.
Thanks for everybody's patience with him. He definitely is the one who speaks English not the most often. So
he did a great job.
But I think he very much encompasses just what Sardinia is still. It's still just not as touched as, the rest of the country has gotten.
Right. And that's the magic that is Sardinia, and why I want to go there so badly, because I think it's kind of the place less traveled. It is a little bit more of a journey to get there.
Has a very mysterious feel, and it reminded me, if anyone's been to New Zealand, the South Island, the same type of thing. Lots of land, lots of sheep, just not a lot of people, and just there's something, this aura to it. It has a mystique to it.
And if you couldn't hear clearly, this gentleman right here, Niccolò Incisa, is the founder of Sassicaia, and really the origin behind Super Tuscan wines, and he invested in this property with as a partnership. The winemaker from Sassicaia, the original winemaker, Giacomo Takis, who did pass away in 2010, was the original winemaker here, and that brought a lot of notoriety to this brand. Let's see, didn't mean to close that out. Let me bring that back. There we go.
Yeah, Giacomo is just kind of renowned as being one of the kings of Italian winemaking, and he's the reason why we have Sassicaia and Tignanello and Solaia, and just really a lot of the iconic wines of Italy. And this collaboration that he did with San Guido, with the Marchese there, was, definitely getting everybody kind of out of the norm, and you have always the native varietal highlighted, and then kind of that homage back to Bulgari. And this is what I love. If you see on the bottle, or just how it's listed, it says Isola dei Nuraghi, which Isola means island of the Nuraghi. And what you see here, these stone structures are called Nuraghi, that at one point, thousands and thousands of years ago, there were 7,000 of these on the island of Sardinia, and you still find them fully intact. You'll find them huge ones like this, or maybe single forms, but that's really what is unique about the island. Yeah, and then also too, the Carignan here is grown in a bush vine style. that you don't find used often. However, it really helps for just being on the island there, as you see, very close to Africa. And it's kind of a little bit more of a way for protection for some of the vines, for the Carignan. But you also saw they have the regular Guyot system for the Bordeaux varietals that they planted. So yeah, I like, I find with Carignan, and yeah, I saw someone said Priorat. Yes, exactly. Again, same varietal, a lot of spice is nice here, but you get kind of a nice rounding out of that spice by having the Merlot, and even more spice element with the Cab Franc, but not domineering. And I just love this wine. I think it's something, it's not something you're going to pick right away, but I find that whenever people try it, they always seem to like it.
Tremendous value proposition as well.
Yeah.
Wait till you see the price tonight. It's pretty dramatically affordable. It's a wine that you could drink any day. And remember, we just came off of a wine that's, basically $125 Super Tuscan that you can now lean into this wine for less than $30. And this really got a lot of personality. I love island wines. That saltiness is definitely there, and that minerality. And this is just really, really a tremendous offer. So if you like it, grab some. I want to thank you guys for our journey tonight through this beautiful portfolio of wines. And Sarah, thank you for organizing the winemakers and all of that work. We've Zoomed no fewer than maybe a dozen times to put this together. So these really take a lot of work. We have a full team. I don't know if you guys know, but most of my COVID pivot was to hiring people to help me with the Zooms and stuff. And I've got designers in Minneapolis and Minnesota and all over the place to help me out. And it's worked out really well. We also became kind of more of a wine retailer with the Merchant of Wine, and less of a classroom type of an experience for a while. People are asking me when we're going to do live classes again. It's going to be a while. I am probably going to do a couple of trips, but we probably won't teach a class until 2022. And we're going to keep going on Zoom though, and stay very active Wednesdays and Saturday nights. And we're going to do a Stars of event every month. And next month, we're going to be doing a Stars of White Wine. We did send out a pretty erroneous email today because we had bad date information and stuff on there. So we'll fix that up and get it out again. But check out, if you like white wine like I do, like for probably half of the year, I almost exclusively drink white wine. And so I picked a really, really important portfolio of whites to enjoy over the summer. And we've really got some of the best brands in the white wine business for our Stars of White Wine coming. And I believe some of those are in the co-brand portfolio too, Sarah.
Ooh.
We're gonna do a little Zindhumbrecht.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're gonna go, those would be perfect for summertime.
Yeah, and well, also Craggy. We're gonna get some Craggy range
from New Zealand.
Yep. Yeah, and a little Zindhumbrecht, and we'll hopefully be able to Zoom with Mr. Humbrecht, who's one of my favorite figures in wine, the first master of wine in France.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really cool. Check out the wine list. I think you'll be really compelled to do it. Not everything we're going to do is a famous brand, by the way. It's really kind of a cool little boutique-y Stars event, and I think you're going to be really impressed. These are a lot of fun for me. I love seeing the faces, and I love seeing people from all over the place. We have guests on the Zoom tonight from Japan, from San Diego, from literally Japan. And we've had some guests tonight all over California. So it's really great to see your faces, and thanks for being here. I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you, everyone. Grazie mille.
Thank you. Montana, that's right. We've got Montana on the Zoom tonight.
That's awesome.
In Ohio.
I love this. Look at that. We get all over the country. We get Italy together. This is just amazing.
Thank you, Sarah. It was super cool for you.
Yes, no, thank you. And I really, this whole component with having the videos, it really is game changing. And I'm going to urge many other people to do it this way.
Cool. Well, I'll invite you on Saturday night. Maybe you can watch what we do on Saturday night too. He's got a little different spin on it. And if anybody wants to pick up a tasting kit for Saturday still, they are available only until midnight Thursday, and we send them out Friday and Saturday. And just so if it was your first time doing it, people always say, why didn't I get both for Wednesday and Saturday? Because we pour these wines fresh. This is a lot of work, and these wines get poured Thursday just before UPS picks up, and then we get them out and delivered for Friday. Courier in LA, UPS outside of LA. We'll see everybody Saturday night. Ciao. Grazie mille. Mille. Okay, grazie mille.
Grazie mille. Perfetto.
Prego.
Yeah.
Ciao, everybody.